Man's inability to draw out and conquer Leviathan. In the first 7 verses of Job, chapter 41, Yahuwah asked Job 14 questions concerning Leviathan. These questions reveal man's inability to draw out and conquer him. The first question implies that there is no hook or line that is able to draw Leviathan out of the deep to land. Verse 1. Not only does Leviathan live in the depths, but he is also so strong and powerful as to break any line or hook that man would use to snare him and draw him out. Pride is such a strong, deeply rooted spirit that it is impossible to hook him and draw him out. The beginning of humility is recognizing our limitations and inability and our dependence upon Yahuwah. A humble man recognizes his need for Yahuwah in everything he does. You cannot snag and hold him as you do other sea creatures. Verses 2. This method will not be successful with Leviathan. Man has been successful in conquering even the larger of sea creatures, the whale, but Leviathan cannot be conquered by natural means. Leviathan will not negotiate. Job 41:3 gives us a picture of a defeated foe pleading or making entreaties to his vanquisher. Often conquered nations or kings would entreat their conquerors. Entreat means to plead with, especially in order to persuade, to negotiate. The enemy, once conquered, will attempt to speak soft or flattered words. Will Leviathan do this? Plead with you, negotiate with you, or flatter you with word? No. He is proud and stubborn demon that does not speak soft words. He will not humble himself and make supplication. Supplication is also a form of prayer. We have found that the spirit of Leviathan hinders prayer. People who have a difficult time praying or become sleepy when attempting to pray are often battling Leviathan. Proud people don't sense a need to pray or seek Yahuwah, Psalms 10:4, and will have a difficult time asking for help. They often speak harshly to others. The tone of voice is an indication as to whether one is manifesting pride. Will not submit and enter into covenant. Leviathan will not enter into covenant. Job 41:4. He is an independent and proud spirit. He will never submit and serve another. Pride hinders people from entering into or walking in covenant. It takes humility to enter in and walk in covenant. A covenant is a mutual agreement between two parties. Marriage is a covenant. It is not just the wife submitting to the husband, but the two of them submitting to each other in the fear of Yahuwah. We have found that Leviathan is the spirit operating in most marriages, causing divorce and separation. Leviathan will not make and keep covenant. It is not surprising that so many of Yahuwah's people don't understand and operate in covenant relationships. Pride will blind you and hinder you from honoring covenant. Pride will also blind a person from receiving and walking in the covenant we have through the blood of Yahusha. The Bible is a book of covenants. Our Yahuwah is a covenant-keeping Eluah. Salvation, healing, deliverance, prosperity, the gifts of the Ruach, miracles, signs, and wonders are all parts of the renewed covenant. It takes humility to receive and walk in the revelation of our covenant. It is not surprising that many believers and some assemblies reject part of the new covenant or renewed covenant. Some reject healing, some reject deliverance, some reject the baptism of the Ruach HaKodesh and his gifts. I am convinced that the Ruach of Leviathan has blocked many from walking in the fullness of the covenant we have through Yahusha HaMashiach. There are different types of pride, and one of them is a religious pride. This says, my assembly or my denomination has all the truth. Religious pride says, it couldn't be Yahuwah if we don't practice or believe it. These attitudes are nothing but manifestations of Leviathan. If a believer or an assembly has a problem walking in the fullness of the covenant, check for Leviathan. Will not serve. The next question Yahuwah asked Job concerning Leviathan is, will thou take him for a servant forever? The Muffat translation says, will he always be at your service? It takes humility to serve others. Pride will prevent you from submitting to and serving another. Pride always wants to be on top and in control. Pride wants everyone to submit to him. It does not surprise me that so many people have a problem submitting and serving. The reason being is that so many people have a problem with Leviathan. If you have a hard time submitting and serving, then you have a problem with Leviathan. Yahusha is our example of humility. He humbled himself and became a servant, even to the extent of washing his disciples' feet. Will not be tamed. Leviathan is not a pet. He cannot be tamed. Pets are animals that have been domesticated for the advantage of man. Yahusha translation of Job 41:5 says, will you make a pet of him like a bird? Keep him on a lead to assure your march? In other words, Leviathan is not a creature to play around with. Pride cannot be tamed. Pride is destructive and will cause pain in your life and the lives of others. Leviathan will not be taken captive for a pet. He will not be bound and tamed. Leviathan must be destroyed, and only Yahuwah can destroy pride in our lives. We cannot draw him out, snare him, make a covenant with him, or bind him in our own strength. If we don't allow Yahuwah to destroy pride in our lives, Leviathan will destroy us.